Okay.
All right, so let's
All
jump
right.
into this. So,
We're jumping into something,
so
people.
you're looking at me. Camera doesn't even exist.
Okay.
Did you know that it doesn't exist? It's not
No, I
real.
don't give a shit.
That's not even pretend.
We're not even here.
We're not. Well, we're here. We're here, but the camera isn't. So what I want to do is I want to do kind of a past, present, and even future kind of like set of questions.
Okay.
So the first question is,
It's like an Oprah Winfrey special.
yeah, this is a Scott for Winfrey.
Scott for Winfrey?
Grocery. Grocery. It's Scott's free grocery. Yeah. Anyway, anywho, we're not talking about that. We're moving on.
Okay.
That's the past. We're not staying in the past. Anyway, so before you graduated high school, tell me a story that you feel defines who you became as an adult.
My sister woke me up at midnight one night and said, "Come on." And we snuck out of the house and we pushed my dad's pickup down the driveway, pushed it up the street to the Congregational Church, and then we went out and we stole corn stalks and straw for the horses because Dad forgot to get the oats and the straw and the corn for the horses. That's what
made her the way she was.
Now, let me ask you further. Do you feel that kind of defined who you were because you saw a problem and it didn't matter what, that you're going to find a solution?
Yeah, she had to find a solution.
I
interviewing her.
Yeah, I
always envied your mother and always looked up to her. So when she did something, it was just, that was the way it was.
So even at a young age, you have.
I walked in her footsteps.
You have 4 siblings, right?
Yes.
So out of the 4 siblings, family was obviously very important all your life.
Oh, all my life, yes.
So do you feel that that kind of like love of family was brought to you at a very young age, or what age do you feel family became really important to you?
I was probably 2 or 3. Probably when I had my cat, when I had Rags. That's when I remember stuff. Clear back to 2 or 3.
And was family, what kind of family stuff?
Oh, I loved my oldest brother. I always called him Bubba, and I always took care of him after a football game because he'd get banged up. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I walked in her image. I just envied her. She was just so pretty and so, she was so pretty and so she just was very classy, and so, I kind of looked at her. Jack, on the other hand, he was kind of a toilet brush, but I liked him too because we had lots of fun. And then Frank was the baby, and so I always protected him because he was sick when he was little, and the nurse down the street used to come down and she had to give him shots every day because I think he had rickets or something. I don't remember what he had. He
thought he had rickets.
And so they had to give him shots every day. Well, he'd come running to me and he'd say, Sissy, hide me. And so we would hide. I'd hide him in the closets. I'd hide him in the cupboards. You name it, under the bed, under the table. We'd lay across the chairs. Yep. And try to protect him. Of course, it never happened. It never worked.
Bought him time.
It
bought him a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, yeah. While we sit there and watch the nurse come in looking for him, it's like, shh, don't say nothing. They won't know we're here.
That's funny. So, in school, I guess, what did you want to do with your life? Like what?
I always wanted to be a showgirl dancer.
Okay. And then, how hard was it to become that?
Well, I was a dancer. I loved to dance.
Okay.
So I did ballerina. I did ballerina and tap.
Oh, did you?
When I was younger. And I liked it, but I always wanted to go out to Vegas and be a showgirl. I liked their feathers and all their
glamour.
Yeah. I like that shit.
So when you go to Vegas now, do you would you go see the showgirls?
Oh yeah. Dad was we'd take Dad out. Dad was like,
and he like that?
Oh, he was amazing. He was just completely. I know he'd just
Heather.
that, and he'd look up at the lights, and he'd just be.
You could tell he was.
He'd
from
say,
a small
"Dad,
town.
look in front of you. Don't look up. Look in front of you."
You know what
Yeah.
it could have been? All the feathers. Maybe he was a birder.
I don't know. He liked the showgirls though. He liked them legs, and he liked the showgirls.
Like the chicks.
Yeah.
See?
And they liked him too.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure they
They
liked
always-
his wallet.
No. No. They were.
Liked him.
They liked him.
would-
They were.
they'd
They were.
follow him
Charlotte.
around.
Yes.
Enamored.
They'd put their arms in his arm. And they'd walk him around the
They
casino.
thought he was Clark Gable. 'Cause
Yeah.
He looked like Clark Gable.
Yeah. Yeah. He was always a lot of fun to
Probably thought
take
he
with
was
us.
rich.
One time,
They thought he was
I,
a sugar
I
daddy.
I gotta tell the story. This is a story on Dad and Jack. They took an Amtrak train to Vegas with the VFW. Went the whole group, and so they were on the train, and well, they'd play cards and that stuff, and this one guy just kept following my dad everywhere he went. This guy would follow Dad, and he went into the car to eat, and this guy come up to him and made a play for him. And Jack happened to see it first. Dad was kind of open-minded, I guess you'd say. Jack come up and he says to the guy, taps him on the back, and he said, "Buddy,
Clue.
out of the way. This is my meat." That was it.
My dad was so naive. He didn't realize the guy was hitting on him.
I mean, or your dad was like, $20, $20.
Yeah, yeah, he was
It
one
hardly
of a
he could
kind.
Spend any money in the slot machines. He was very tight.
Well, no, they would have paid your dad $20.
I know, but he would. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was very naive. He had no clue. When that gay guy hit on him, he had no clue what it was about. Jack had to save him. Jack
Yeah.
Helper had to save him.
Yep. They
All
said
right,
it.
so staying with Vegas. So you traveled there a number of times with
13 times.
with Grandpa and
Well, most of the time I went with Terry Harold.
okay.
Me and Terry went out.
So tell me what enamored you about Las Vegas, and even going to like Atlantic City or
Just going somewhere different, getting out of Wellington, getting away from home,
now,
just
now,
traveling.
Did you enjoy the big city kind of feel of it, the excitement, the energy of it?
In old Vegas, when Vegas was
Way back when
we
we
went,
years ago,
you could walk the streets down there, and I mean it was just a
Well,
completely
at night
total.
You could walk down the main highway, and there was no traffic.
Yes,
You could
none.
walk right down the middle of the highway.
Now you
didn't
get
have
your
to worry
ass
about
run over.
cars or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, well, you were out to San Francisco. When Sharon and I went out to San Francisco, it was wonderful. It was beautiful out there. I mean, we
went on
walked
the
down the
boardwalk,
wharf.
When I went, it was beautiful. I went in 2016. It was beautiful. It's since 2016.
Yeah,
It's
it's
gotten rough.
gotten rough. But we went all over. We've been quite a few places.
So traveling wise, let's talk about that. So, where have you traveled that you really loved? That was just that blew your mind. That was a
Jamaica.
life- Jamaica. I remember when you went to Jamaica.
Yeah,
Didn't you
Jamaica.
get your hair braided? Even?
Mm-hmm.
So what were two memories or a couple memories that you have in Jamaica that made it amazing?
Well, this one time they kept telling you, do not leave the compound.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We were right
And you're really good at listening to rules.
okay,
So you
yeah.
listen.
So out the door we slid, and we were walking down the. I don't even know what this this little town, wherever we were. And we didn't realize it, but there was people following us, and we didn't realize this. And as we walked down, we went into this one shop for gold because she wanted to buy something gold. So we went into this pawn shop, and before we ever stepped up on the porch, there was military guys, and they jumped behind us with guns, and all we heard was, "You not bother American tourists." And you turn around, and they were hitting them with the guns, with the bayonets or whatever. And it's like, oh shit, I don't think we should be here. But we went there, and that happened, and then we went through this. They had cardboard shops set up in wooded areas. They'd build their
Like shanties.
well, but they were cardboard, but they'd have all their goods setting out so that you could, look what they had. I mean, we bought T-shirts for like 10 T-shirts for like $1. I mean, the prices were just astronomically cheap, and I ended up buying this totem pole, parrot totem pole. Now, don't ask me why, but I bought a parrot totem pole. We got back, Sheriff says, "And how are you going to take that home?" Well, I'm just going to put it on the plane with us. I mean, who knew what I was going to do with a 6-foot totem pole? But,
You're gonna set it up.
Oh God, yeah. The sheriff says, "Just what we need is a 6-foot totem pole to take and worry about." And I said, "Well, if I have to, I'll leave it here because it was all like $5 or $10. I mean, Yeah. So we like Jamaica. I like Jamaica a lot. I'd go back to Jamaica in a minute.
Okay.
When I worked at the prison, I had an inmate that come to work for me, and he was a black inmate, and he had a twang to his talk, And I said to him one day, I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Jamaica." That his mom and his family was in Jamaica, and his mother and father were like, the town that they lived in, they were like big well-to-do people.
I think they were from Kingston.
I don't remember now, but anyways, he says, "If you go back to Jamaica," he said, "I want to know when you go." He said, "I will tell my parents," he said, "and they will meet you, and they will take care of you, and they will treat you like royalty." Well, we never went back, but he was from like a royal family in that area, and so it was like, that was kind of interesting.
So, let's go there to the prison. So you worked at the prison for
24 years.
24 years, and what did you do there?
I started out in the food service. From food service, I went to QM. From QM, I moved to
What is QM?
Quartermaster. That's where you dress them. Like when they come into the system, they have to come into our receiving. They check them over and make sure they don't have any contraband on them, and then they come to me, and then we dress them from socks, underwear, up.
So why did you move from the food to being a quartermaster?
Well, I hurt my legs in food service. I hurt my legs, and I had to end up having the bilateral knee replacements.
Right.
And then I had a cart that the wheels, faulty equipment, came over on me and bent me over backwards over the steamers, which is why I had the back surgery and the shoulder problems. And so I couldn't stay in the food service because I had to be on my feet 24/7. And the time that I was there, within just like, it took you like 3 to 6 months to get into the union. I was in the union within a month because I had so many hours that they lengthened the hours out to that time. And so I was in the union within 30 days of working.
So what did you like about being a cook there? Or what interesting story do you have of when you're a cook there?
Oh, there was lots, but we didn't cook necessarily. We were supervisors. But there was one in particular time. I had this guy. His name was Brownie, and he was huge. He was like Kong, You know, I mean, he was huge. He was black, but just as sweet as sweet could be. And we went back in the storeroom to get something, and you had to go in and go all the way down like a hallway. Well, we got all the way down this hallway in the storeroom, and the friggin' lights go out. I mean, it went black. And I says, "No one move! Everybody, put your hands up!" So he puts his hands up. "I ain't moving, Miss B. I ain't moving." and of course, you have to laugh because most of them, in all the years that I was there, I never had any problems except for one guy, and my workers surrounded me like right now, and they were ready to kill him. So, you know, I mean, this black guy, of course, I laughed many times with him because I'd say to him, "Put your hands up, watch your hands." He'd put his hands up in the air, but they were all good. They all treated me good. I was very lucky, a very fortunate person.
When you moved to being a quartermaster, you're seeing a lot of people come in, you know, fresh to the system. What do you feel was the difference between that environment with kind of new guys versus people that were already kind of part of the system?
You've seen a lot of fear in these guys because they didn't know what they were coming into. Right. And there was a lot of fear, and it took a lot. You have a lot of staff that disrespected all of them. You know, they weren't worth the grass that grew under their feet. And in particular, there was a couple guys that I knew needed to be in there themselves, and yet they were very abusive to the inmates, very abusive to the inmates. And I didn't believe that way. When I took that job, I believed I was perpetrating their home. And so it was up to me to gain their respect. And that's what I did. I mean, I treated them all decent and treated them all with respect, and I got it in return. I mean, you just don't mistreat people just because they've made a mistake in their life. And some of them made some really good mistakes, and they'd come up and they'd say, "Miss B, I want you to know, it was either me or them. I had to kill him." Okay. All right. That's the way you feel. Well, you know. And it would be a drug thing go wrong.
You're not there to be a judge.
No. And that's what I used to tell them. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to see to it that everybody's safe. And everybody does their job.
Now, you've long since retired from it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you miss working in the prison system? Did you enjoy it?
I miss the inmates. Staff and the upper crust, you could have rolled them all in dough and threw them over a cliff, and it had been a hell of a lot better place.
No shit.
The staff was just terrible. Staff was terrible. And the ones that did treat the people decent were looked down on. I had an officer back me up against the wall one time, and I told him, I said, "You better get the fuck away from me, because if you don't, I will drop you right here." But I said, "I'll guarantee you one thing after today. You won't have a job." And when everything kind of settled down, I called the warden, which liked me very well, and Dennis Baker, which was the deputy warden. And I said, "Do we have a no tolerance policy here?" "Absolutely." And I told him what happened, and I said, "I want him gone." They come out, took him out, but he.
Now, what did he do? Did he like?
He was pissed. He was pissed because I treated the inmates good. Okay, and I'd take Christmas time. I took cookies in. I always had coffee for them. Sometimes I'd make them like little candy sacks. You know, that was my Christmas to them. You know, just something that they don't get normally. And he didn't like it. And so he told me, I wasn't going to do that. And I said, You are not my boss, and you don't sign my paycheck. And he got physical, raising. I mean, he was raising his voice. The guy that worked with me, Rich, the major, and another guy was in the office, and all they did was just sit there going. No one ever made a move to get up and tell him to shut up or back off or whatever. But he lost his job that day. And it was like,
good riddance.
Goodbye. So long. Hasta la vista. He didn't belong there.
So over the years, like you kind of talk about that, you helped, you brought treats for them. Today you visited our house and you brought some cookies for the boys and for Michelle and I. So how many other places have you gone to in the last, let's say, week delivering cookies and treats?
I've got my freezer. My freezer looks like it's overcome with cookie joy. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 more baskets to deliver. And I'm trying to do it before I have surgery because you never know what may happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about surgery, but I want to also talk about the people that you're bringing these to. Are these friends that you grew up with? Are these friends that you've met along life?
Some of them are
friends?
Some of them are older friends that don't have or don't do anything. Friends, family. Of course, if I can keep Bub out of the cookies long enough, I might be able to get a couple more trays made. But boy, he gets into the cookies. It's like,
he's got a sweet tooth.
Oh, he loves cookies. Between him and your mom, I'm not sure which one is the best one. Like cookies.
She brings me cookies or treats all the time. Why do I need to cook? I just leave it up to her. She's younger than me, so let her.
Yeah. Her sweeper breaks down. Guess who fixes it? Me. So, yeah, I just like giving. I'm just a giver.
So you live in Elyria. So what is the farthest that you've traveled to deliver cookies?
Here.
Probably Mansfield. Mansfield in here.
So
yeah.
who's in Mansfield that you bring?
I have a good friend that lives down there, an older friend.
That friend?
Through prison.
Okay.
I worked with her. Yeah.
So there was a couple employees there that you were close to.
Oh yeah, I had a couple good friends, people that I helped when they first come into the system, and I kind of give them the lowdown and the what fors. Yep. And they'd come in and they didn't have anything. They didn't know how to order pencils or how to get anything, and I happened to have an in with the guy in the warehouse, so I'd say, "Don't worry about it. I'll get you taken care of." And I just.
And they remember you for that.
Oh yeah, yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So surgery. So maybe let's start back at 2 years ago, 4th of July.
Well, no, I had my first major surgeries was in '95 when I had the bilateral knee replacements.
I remember that.
And then I had a shoulder surgery that your mother come over to help me one time, and I says to her, "Okay, now you got to be careful." And she was helping me either get dressed or take my blouse off or something. Anyways, we ended up on the bed laughing like hell, me in horrendous pain, and all I can do is laugh because she's got me halfway like this, and half the shirt's off and half the shirt's on, and I'm thinking, oh my God.
The more she moaned and groaned, the more I laughed because it was funny.
And then she's probably yelling, "I'm going to pee myself."
Yeah, well,
She probably
that
didn't pee herself.
that always happened. that was always.
Peed on her or she peed herself.
That was always a threat, maybe a promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the shoulder, what was after that then?
Oh my gosh.
You
Let's
said you
see.
had a back surgery too?
I had 3 back surgeries. I've had 6, 7, 8, 9 surgeries on my knees. My gallbladder out, my appendix out. My shoulder was
Gallbladder out.
revamped. My gallbladder. The knees and the back were the worst, though.
Okay.
And
you've
that's
done your
them.
knees multiple times, haven't you?
Yes, yes.
So,
Well, I only had one set of bilateral knees put in, but the one leg, which is my left leg, they couldn't get the kneecap to seat in the prosthetic, so they gave me a choice.
She was knock-kneed when she was younger,
Yes,
and that was
very.
part of the issue of
Because he had to straighten my legs up. Because I was like, so he straightened my legs up. Well, this one did fine. This one, they didn't get the bone quite straight enough or something. Anyways, it wouldn't seat. The kneecap wouldn't seat. So they said, they gave me a choice. They said, either we take the kneecap off and you have to learn how to walk all over again, or you get a brace for the rest of your life. And I said, take the kneecap. I'll walk.
yeah, no shit.
And so that's, that's how that happened.
So you had that, and then you went a couple years without really any surgeries, right?
Yeah, I did really good.
You
Yeah.
had a good run.
Yep.
And then speaking of run, we're at a 4th of July party.
Boom, 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 boom.
that's when you broke your femur.
The femur, yes. The dogs ran into me, and up I went, and down I came. Don't let them ever tell you anything that goes up don't come down, because it does. Fast.
Yep, you did. I watched it.
Yep.
So after that, you went to the hospital. They found that it was severe damage, and then you had an infection.
Well, not in the right leg. The right leg did fine. It was when I hear about, August. It was in August. It was in the last of July. I had got up one morning and I was just full of piss and vinegar, and I cleaned house and I did wash and I was making cookies and I was baking and just doing my normal stuff. And about 4 o'clock I thought, it's time to sit down. So I sit down, fell asleep, Bub come in, and I went to get up, and I couldn't get up. First off, I was in such excruciating pain in the left leg that I couldn't move it. You couldn't touch it. You couldn't even go. It was like, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It was horrendous. But Bubba helped me up, and I'd get to bed. Well, then Tam come home, and they took me to the hospital. And they said, well, there's nothing wrong with it.
The hell there isn't.
And I'm thinking, okay. And I kept saying to Tam, it's the knee. There's something wrong with the knee. It's in the knee. I'm telling you, it's the knee. And I had a basketball-sized leg, and it looked, my foot swole, my ankle swollen up, and you couldn't touch it. And Bub would get me in bed, and he'd say, well, let me get your lopsided. So he'd go to pick my leg up. Of course, the minute he touched my leg, it's like, I just scream. And he'd get my leg up in the air, and I'd scream, and he'd drop my leg.
No.
And I'd say to him, I'm going to kill you. Once I get on my feet, I'm going to kill you for this. And he'd say, okay, now, Ray, don't scream. I'd say, don't drop my leg. Well, don't scream and I won't drop it. It's like, just don't drop my leg. Say, okay, are you all right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, we're going to move it. He said, on 3, we're going to move it. 1, 2, and he starts moving. It's going, ah! He drops my leg again. I said to him, okay, I think we got to do something different here, because you don't have a good handle on this leg. Every time he tried to help me, he dropped my damn leg. And of course,
Well, you startled him.
what I didn't know at the time, and it took a couple months, by the time I finally got somebody to listen to me, and they went in, and the prosthetic that was put in 28 years ago, where they put the post down in the tibia and the femur, all the cement had let loose, and those posts were moving in and out of my knee,
Oh my God.
and they were moving sideways and going up and
And just making
down,
the hole bigger and
and and it was extremely painful. But I just kept walking on it because
Gotta
that's
walk, you gotta do
because that's
shit.
yeah because I had things to do. I couldn't just sit around and be lazy. And so when we found that out, well, once I got in there, they found that I not only had one infection, I had 5 infections. I had E. coli, starting a staph, there was like 5 different infections, and they had to completely remove the whole unit, the whole whatever they put in you. They had to remove it. And they put in a little, like a washer that they put in, and it was to give the bones so that you had a little bit of movement.
right.
I'm not supposed to be walking on it, but people
She breaks
say,
all the rules.
people said,
She doesn't listen.
yeah, they said, well, you can't walk on that. Huh, bet me, watch me. I ain't gonna sit here all day long.
And it all goes back to stealing a car to get.
Yeah, it's all her fault. I can honestly say it's her
Well,
fault.
she didn't learn it from me because I never had anything.
She would
broken
take
with
me
my
out,
wrist.
and we'd go into a bar, and her and me and Pat Parsons would go in, and we'd go to the bathroom, and there'd be one toilet, a sink, and a can. Sharon take the sink, Pat take the can, and I got the toilet.
Back in the day, you had to do
Well,
what
I
you
mean-
had to do. We lived through it.
We went to Friendly Corners, and I used to use. Now, I was never checked for an ID. Okay,
She's 7 years younger.
they always
you know
checked her
she
for
was
an ID.
going before she was legal.
So she would go into the bathroom. I'd meet her at the window. She'd give me her ID, and then I'd come back around. Well, there was a guy at the door that checked your information,
Back in the day,
and
you'd
his
get
name
a new
was.
driver's license, and you'd have the old one. They didn't throw
Yeah.
them away. You kept them.
Yep.
But the guy at the door, his name was
She had
Walt,
my
and he
old
was such a sweetheart. And of course, I can kind of finagle my way around men, so I had him kind of convinced that
Yeah,
I
men are
was.
suckers.
I had him convinced that I was the angel that I was, and so he just let me go through. I never had to check my ID, nothing.
He
He just.
checked my ID, but he wouldn't check her ID, and she was using my ID. But he'd check me, and I was old enough.
Because you're feisty.
I-
She pretends to be sweet.
Yeah, that was. And
She's smiling.
Yeah.
See?
He knew the difference. He said, "I don't think you should be hanging around with her."
Probably wisdom right there.
yeah, that was the first smart thing I've heard in my lifetime. Stay away from your sister.
So, you have an operation coming up shortly.
Yep.
So tell me about how you feel the operation will go, how you feel the success will be, and what you think this will do to improve your life going forward.
Hopefully, I'm hopeful that the doctor that I picked, after some problems in the beginning, I think he's finally realized that he's got a very unusual person that he's working on,
And that's my shit.
and
because he didn't realize that she was in severe pain or that she had the issues she did because she was walking and doing all this stuff. He just kind of blew it off. So he almost got sued because he's the one that didn't realize she had 5 different infections. He never ran the test because he figured, she's okay, she's walking. He never took the time to look into her case.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah.
he just thought I was
What
just.
is the surgery that you're going to have?
Now they're going to go in. They'll reopen this leg up again. They'll take the spacer out, which I think it's supposed to be like a washer. They will freeze dry several places to make sure that there's no infection in the bones. They don't want to have like where the things
Oh, I
go.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
there's no infection in there because if they put a prosthetic in there,
it'll be stuck in there. And
then it'll be stuck in there and it could go
And
into my
it'll
bone.
grow again.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, so the first thing is making sure there is no infection in there. If they find no infection, everything looks good. Right now, blood work and everything looks good, and it looks like I'm going to get a knee. But until they get in there, and I mean, it was the same with the very first surgery. When they opened me up, he was like, "Oh my God." I mean, he was
He couldn't believe
he
doing all the
just
stuff she
he was
doing.
like, "Oh my God."
How are you moving?
He said, I now know what kind of pain you were in. No, you don't. It wasn't on your leg. It was on mine. But with the bones being loose and that
So how do you feel this surgery, assuming it's going to be successful, let's be optimistic.
right,
How will that change and affect your life going
I'll
forward?
be able to walk again. I'll
And,
be able to get up and say, "Let's go."
and what is like one of the first things you want to do next summer? Assuming that you're well recovered, you're able to walk.
Go on vacation.
Where to? Where to?
So here, Tam's
yeah,
staying.
yeah, Tam's
Are you going to
staying.
go to like a resort on Myrtle Beach? Or
Yeah, we've been
where do you
we've
think
tried.
where do you think you'd want to go next summer
Next summer.
if you had to choose?
Jamaica.
Yeah, probably. I love Jamaica. I really did. I love Jamaica. Other than the soldiers coming out, and
and
you know,
we weren't supposed to
that was
know
kind of
about.
that was kind of scary, but it was
We
it
lived
was
through it.
a learning, but beautiful water. I won't get I don't want to get because I don't like to fly. After flying, we come home one time from Vegas, and we got hit by a lightning twice.
The airplane?
Yes. Jack was with us. There was Jack and me and Cher and Thumper and Dad and Terry, and it got hit twice. And let me tell you, that was a big enough scare that once it landed, I didn't ever want to get back on one
Okay.
because it was,
So
I
maybe
was like
just road trips.
yeah, road trips.
Yes.
I can drive. As long as I can drive and I know my north, south, east, and west, I got it made. I can drive. And if I don't drive, Tam will. Make Tam get in and she has to help. So
Well,
We were supposed to go to Jamaica or to Myrtle Beach this last year, and then that happened to her leg, and she couldn't go because she couldn't walk good enough to go. or couldn't
and the
get
year
out.
before we were going to go and the
Tam had
hurricane hit.
reservations and everything. and
yeah,
we
the
had to-
hurricane hit.
Yeah.
now I have one last question. You have a lot of young people kind of in your life. You have Zoe, you have Little Sagan, you have all these young people. What do you hope for them that the future is?
I hope that the United States gets straightened around, and I hope that they have a future in this country. And I hope that they are able to, they're smart. Sagan, Lito, Zoe, Scarlett, right now, are probably the four smartest little kids I've ever known in my life. I mean, very, very astute, they're brilliant. They're brilliant. And I hope that they can fulfill their dreams with whatever it is that they choose to do. I hope they can fulfill their dreams.
So if you're going to give them one sentence or two sentences of advice, what would you give them to guide them in those early years?
Do all you can do with what you got. Take it with you and work it.